Far Cry is a good game, but you've heard that plenty of times already. It's a game that seems to be getting quite a lot right, and I had a tremendous amount of fun completing the main story and dozens of the game's side quests. There is just something about this game that seriously appealed to me over the previous number 4 and the tribal entry, which I skipped by the way, and in case you was wondering, it's the game's super intriguing bad guy. It always is, isn't it? You see, when I'm not watching or researching videos about the obscure history of video games, it's not uncommon that you will find me watching documentaries based on extreme religious people and beliefs. I'm not religious myself, but I just find the whole subject incredibly interesting, which is why this guy intrigued the hell out of me. Okay, perhaps the wrong wording to use there. Regardless, after seeing this guy in Ubisoft's previews and the absolutely superb intro that instantly hooked me from the get-go, where you go into Hope County and interrupt the madman's sermon to arrest him surrounded by gun-wielding followers that are willing to take their own life for the sake of the church, I was begging for more. It was by that point not only was I playing the game because of its awesome gameplay, but also because I wanted to interact with this nutjob as much as humanly possible, which sadly brings me to my biggest gripe with the game. You see, after the game's cinematic and groundbreaking intro that I will not soon forget, there was only really one other hair-tingling scene in the whole game that scratched that itch for wanting more, and that was a bloody uncontrollable cutscene. I was disappointed beyond belief that I didn't get to see more of this dude. He is so intriguing, but in his place are 3 of his disciples, each looking after a third of the map. You got his hippie looking sister, his righteous brother, and this boring soft-spoken army leader like guy. The sister was probably the most interesting out of all 3, and it did the very best of keeping you invested in the main storyline by showing up at random places throughout your mission. The brother also did a pretty good job and partly filled in the crazy bad guy's hole, giving you some of the best typical Far Cry type choices during his cutscenes. And then there is this forgettable bloke right here. Nah, this one bored the hell out of me. What I prayed for was more from this guy, and sadly I hardly ever got it other than that one chilling cutscene in the middle of the game that I previously mentioned. That, by the way, was so well scripted it actually made me feel a little uneasy. Ubisoft, why you tease me so much? I didn't have any decent interaction with the father other than this moment until the very end of the game, where I fought a rather silly arcade-like boss battle before a bloody clever and heavily satisfying end sequence occurred and those credits started rolling up. But that's just the way it is, and for some it's not about the destination, it's all about the journey. It's about what you do in between the rather clever cutscenes to unlock the world of Home County, doing missions, chatting to locals, and well, just having some really awesome, very typical but cleverly refined Far Cry styled gameplay. It seems to me that the days of simple fetch quests are over. Sure, this game has them, but they are so well written and creative that you forget that you're actually doing them. The same goes for liberating a new base of operations for your new funds, recruiting new allies that can help you in battle, the insanely addictive level up system, and the fantastic ability of doing all of this via co-op multiplayer after that first mini island is cleared, if that's your thing. There's the brilliantly creative Far Cry arcade mode that lets you create your own mini challenges for your friends, all Mario Maker like, and even lets you grab assets from other games like Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed to name a few. This section of the game isn't really my cup of PG tips, but for those who do like this sort of thing, I can see it becoming one of the most addictive elements of the whole game. In short, if I was going to rate this game solely based on gameplay alone, then it would probably be a worthy contender for my Game of the Year. And it really comes as no surprise, in all honesty, that the Far Cry formula, well, that's been mastered up to this point. I had so much fun with this, so I was obviously going to have fun with this. So much so that this memorable game actually makes me want to go back and check out number 4 in the Flintstones editions that I previously missed. Now, it is worth mentioning that I did encounter a few rather big glitches in the game, which sadly I wasn't able to capture, none of which were exactly game breaking, but they did happen, with probably the worst of them being a base that I tried to capture 2 times unsuccessfully, going in a 3rd time to find no bad guys whatsoever, and all of a sudden the cutscene rolled and I had instantly captured it. There was a few others that I discovered along the way, but none of them were as big as this one. And considering I've probably slapped down 30 to 40 hours in the game, it's really not that bad at all. Oh, and in case you were wondering, I was playing this on a standard PlayStation 4. I suppose I should also mention the whole microtransaction stuff too. I love saying that word, especially when you look at the screen and it's saying £40 is your best bet. For those that don't know, you can use money found within the game to unlock clothes, guns, cars, helicopters and a few other bits. Don't have enough? Then you can put some real world money too in its place. It's not really forcing you, but at the same time, it sort of is. From time to time you're going to find big piles of money, but by this point after completion I would bet that I've found pretty much most of the piles of money, and I am far from getting all of those extra paid items. Which means I could go around killing bad guys, looting them for about $8 or whatever they drop. I could kill animals and sell their skins for a little bit more cash. Or I could just take the easy route and purchase one of these packs. Now, I can see a lot of people getting wound up by this, but personally, I couldn't care less. I completed this whole game with maximum enjoyment and all I did was purchase one thing. A big red helicopter. Why did I buy it? Because I thought, you know what, I might as well spend some of this money I'm accumulating. From my personal experience, nothing in these shops are necessary. It's all for show. So if you really want to spend your real world money on a machine gun just because it's got an American flag printed on it, well, be my guest. I haven't seen one reviewer that's actually done this and they all say the same thing. It adds nothing to the game. The way I see it is that in one decent playthrough of the game you can probably afford about one top end item from every list, which makes playing through it several times in the future a different and potentially worthwhile experience. If Ubisoft never added the real world money option in the first place, then I'm sure this whole thing would have been fine. But then again, that's just my opinion on the matter. This sort of thing is just not for me, and therefore, you know, your mileage may vary. And that, guys, is Far Cry 5. It's not the best Far Cry I've ever played, story-wise, that still goes to number 3. But gameplay-wise, it is to date Far Cry perfection. Sure, it has a few minor issues, but at its core, it's a Far Cry game. And by this point, you really should know if Far Cry is for you. And if you have enjoyed the previous games in this series up to this point, then you're going to have an absolute blast with this entry in the series. Hey there guys, thanks for checking out the video. I want to give a big special shout out to all of my Patreons, with a special shout out going to Ryan Burford, Brent Craft, Andrew Dalton, Joe Lazaresi, N.A. Chapman, Phil Lowlins, Conrad, Constantine, Pretendo64, Mike Fallon, Retro to Next Gen, Zane Powers, Gavin Seed, Creamy Elephant, James Loveridge, Casey Garner, Blitz, Hedgie, Ben Hall, Taylor Armand, Gemma and Mr. T-Shirts, Rob Jenkins, The Geeky Dad, Richard Carter, aka Fantastic Dizzy, Dunder Control, Michael, Todd Poolfloat G, Petty Mew, and Brian Rawson. If you want to be part of this list, get your name shouted out, get your name shown, come and see what I'm working on, and plenty of other things, click the link that you see on the screen. Don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, whatever you prefer, and also, I've just opened up my Discord to everyone, so please do come and check it out. Link in the description. But for now, this is DJ Slope signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.